The main feature of Vertical Slice 1.1 is the integration of the Steam Workshop. If you press Shift and G, it opens up the Blueprints menu. You can see I've got Apollo 12 here, and if I go on to the right, I've got Browse Workshop, and you can browse through the workshop in-game, which whilst it's also possible to do in Space Engineers 1, this is already 10 times better. You can select any of the ships here, like this big red ship for example, subscribe to them, and then place them down just like that. You can still use the Steam Workshop out of game like you could in Space Engineers 1, but the Steam Workshop has always been limiting in what you can and can't do, so I'll have to see if eventually the in-game workshop overtakes the features of the Steam Workshop. Like with these little buttons on the left which let you refine what you're looking for. So you can see I can filter to just modules, or mining ships, which I can't imagine there's very many of at the moment, and stuff like that. And at the top, you can toggle between blueprints and worlds. As you can see, the first option, the Polis 1 station, is what we are currently in, and I'll show you how to access worlds in a minute. Uploading to the workshop is really simple. You just click a blueprint and you have the option to publish it over here. It gives you this warning and it tells you that once it's live, any changes you make to this blueprint will automatically be sent to the workshop. So I'm going to press yes, and then we'll give it a moment. And there you go, blueprint successfully published. And if I switch over to my desktop, you can see Apollo 12. Look, there it is, go subscribe to it. Previously, we didn't have the option to share blueprints in Space Engineers 2, so I had people send me images of them for a previous video where I was showing off the new building system. But now, as you can post them to the workshop, feel free to join my Discord, linked in the description below, and share your creations for everyone to see. They've made a couple of improvements to pasting in grids in Space Engineers 2. If I place down Apollo here, you'll notice that the lag when placing blueprints is much less significant as it was when the game was released. Pasting things in was pretty much the only time my game lagged when playing Space Engineers 2, so these optimizations are more than welcome. It's also been made much easier to place blueprints as well. As you can see, if I cut this Apollo from this block here, and then place it back on this Apollo here, you can see that if I rotate it around, that is centered on the block I copied from, making it much easier to position and rotate. And also by default that it snaps to the block size that I've copied from. So you can see that I've copied from a large block, and when I move my mouse, it moves along to the next large block, as opposed to how it previously worked where it'd move around at the 25cm block size. And this, combined with the other changes, makes copying and pasting things like modules way easier to line up where you want. If we go back to the main menu, I'll quickly show you how to load up worlds that you subscribe to on the workshop, and also the additional settings that have been added to worlds as well. If you go to New Game, and then Worlds on the right, you can see that I've got Concordia Research Facility, which is the default world, Empty World, which has nothing in it, and then we have the Polis Station that I showed you that I was subscribed to earlier, which you can click on to start. And there you go, we're in. That was really quick actually. If I go to Load World, you'll see that I've got Polis Station 1.1 and Polis Station 1.2. So this is the one that has the 2 Apollos in, and this one is the new one I created. As you can see by the fact that I have Concordia Research Facility 1 to 9, you couldn't rename worlds. In fact, you couldn't do very much to worlds at all. But now we have some new options on the right. We have Duplicate Save to create a copy of that save. We have Publish to Workshop, so if you have a world that you want to send to the workshop, that's how you do it. And most importantly, you have the Advanced Settings option. So if I click that, we only have a couple of options at the moment, but these are the most important ones, and I'm sure we'll be getting more options in the upcoming updates. So for starters, you can rename the world here, so I'll call this 2 Apollos, and I can add a description. You have the option to enable autosave over here, so it's worth noting that there is an option to disable and enable autosave in the settings, which only apply to newly created worlds, which is quite annoying, but now you have the option in the world settings to turn autosave on and off. And you can also see that every time I have saved, you can see the exact time I'm recording this video, doxed, that you can go and load backup saves of the last few save files that we created. I think it only saves 5 by default, which is what Space Engineers 1 did. Let's say I wanted to load back before I spawned in the second Apollo, I could load back up, which I just realised is overwritten the rename I've done, but never mind. And we're back, a single Apollo. Speaking of that autosave option I mentioned earlier, there's a couple of additional options added to the settings. Whilst it's not something I personally used, there was a lot of people asking for this option to be added when the game was first released, and that's the option to invert X and invert Y. So I'll enable these for a second because it will make me feel, oh, this does not feel good. I think I'll leave those off for now. And there's also an option to increase the sensitivity. So if you want me to jitter around my mouse and give you all motion sickness, now I can. If I fly out this way and then turn off my jetpack, you'll see that once I leave artificial gravity, my jetpack automatically turns on. Obviously this is a Space Engineers 1 feature, and it's now part of Space Engineers 2. Keeping in the vein of turning off my jetpack, if I now pause the game, you'll see that the game actually pauses, whereas previously the game would keep going in the background. I know that's a simple thing, but even in the short amount of time I've been playing this game, I've pressed escape to pause the game, and then I've come back and I've been a million miles away from where I meant to be. And finally, if I get this landing gear and I look at the settings of it, there's now an option to enable or disable auto lock. So I turn it on, now this will auto lock when it goes near a block. Am I going to demo that? Yeah, I might as well. This is going to be dangerous. Am I going to hit something before I dock? I think so. There you go, I'm locked. Wait, oh yeah, you can still press P. Whew, the forbidden button. For a second there, I thought there was no way to undock. This is most of the major features that are coming in this update, and I will link the full changelog in the description if you want to check out everything added and changed. However, they did go over a bunch of things that are coming in Vertical Slice 1.2, which is going to be a quality of life and improvement update. So there's going to be some adjustments to jetpack mechanics, symmetry, and a bunch of other things that we'll go through in a later video. But before we end this video, there's something I wanted to address. There's been some recent drama in the Space Engineers community that I quickly want to talk about. I know some of you have heard some things. Out of the two parties, one has thrown around many accusations and the other has said nothing whatsoever. And I think it's time that we talk about it. Yes, that's right, we're talking about the fact that the like and subscribe button have broken up. I know we're very disappointed. The like button has accused the subscribe button of getting into a relationship with the Reddit upvote button. We don't know how legitimate that is at the moment, but if you want to show your support to everyone involved, don't forget to press those like and subscribe buttons below the video and don't press that evil Reddit upvote button. Ugh, gross. And in exchange for pressing those buttons, I'll keep you up to date with everything coming to Space Engineers 2 and also that Space Engineers 1 update that we know is coming very soon as well. And also, while you're pressing buttons, you can also press that join button that these wonderful people on the left have pressed to go the extra mile and support this channel.